Hi, this is Ant, and this channel is called Speakerstack Music, and it's dedicated to bringing you Ableton production tutorials. In today's video, we're going to have a look at Xfur's Cthulhu third-party plugin, which is compatible with Ableton. In the last video, we looked at the chord generator function on Xfur Cthulhu, which you can access by clicking on this button here. And in this video, we're going to have a look at the second function on Cthulhu, which is the arpeggiator. So if you do want to check out how to use Cthulhu to generate chords, I will post a link at the end of this video to my previous video, so you can actually go in and see how I did that. But as I said, in today's video, we're going to focus on the second function, which is an arpeggiator, which is essentially a sequence of notes. And Cthulhu is awesome at enabling you to create different sequences of notes in your tracks. So, very similar to how we set up Cthulhu to generate chords in the previous video, you're going to want to set up Cthulhu as an arpeggiator in the very same way. So you're going to want to create a MIDI channel, which I've done here, and then you're going to want to go into your plugins and select Cthulhu and drag and drop that into the MIDI channel, and then it comes out here in the instrument section, as you can see below. And then you're going to want to route Cthulhu into a second instrument MIDI channel. So in this instance, you can see that I've got a Serum channel set up. So it's an instrument channel with Serum plugin set up in that. And I've also added a second MIDI instrument channel, which I've also got Serum set up in as well. Because the cool thing about Cthulhu is you can route it into as many separate instrument channels as you want, so you can have this different sounds coming off the same sequence of notes. So Cthulhu is set up in channel 7, and then I've got that routing into channels 8 and 9, and the way to route it into channels 8 and 9 is to go into the MIDI from section here and click on Cthulhu, and then also into the pre and post FX section, again click on Cthulhu, and again for channel 9. And also you're going to want to arm both of those channels. So I've actually built this on top of the previous tracks that I set up for the previous video, where again we had a Cthulhu synthesizer here, arpeggiator here, going into two separate instrument channels on 4 and 5, routing in, and that obviously is routed from the Cthulhu set on channel 3, and that's set up from channel 3. So these are set up from the Cthulhu set in channel 7, because I've got two separate Cthulhus, each playing a different sequence of notes. This is set up to produce the chord generator that we talked about in the previous video, and this channel is set up to do the arpeggiator. So that's how you route it in. Then you're going to want to go into the instrument channel and play in or draw in a sequence of notes that you want Cthulhu to play back. And as you can see, I've drawn some notes in here, and as I said, I've got those notes now routing through a Serum synthesizer on channel 8, which has an epic lead preset set up, and into another Serum wavetable synthesizer on channel 9, where again I've got a drawbar organ set up. So I'm just going to give you a quick blast of how that sounds. So what I was showing you there is just soloing each of the individual channels. You can get to see how the sound is being built up. We've got two drum tracks on tracks 1 and 2. Track 3 is the Cthulhu chord generator with a sequence of notes set up. That is then routing into instrument channels 4 and 5, which again are MIDI channels, and on those I've got separate instruments. And as you could probably hear as I was flicking through it and soloing each track, you were getting different sounds coming through. I've got a guitar track on instrument channel 6. I've got the Arpeggiator Cthulhu set up on channel 7 with a different sequence of notes in there. And that is then routing into channels 8 and 9, where again I've got two separate Serum wavetable synthesizers, each with individual presets set up that are playing the sound coming out of those. So the other thing just to mention is with Cthulhu is in order to route Cthulhu through separate channels, you do need to arm those other channels with the record button, and that's why I've got channels 4 and 5 and 8 and 9 armed. And that's essentially it in terms of how you set up Cthulhu and route it. You're also then going to want to go in and actually understand how you use Cthulhu to change the sounds for the arpeggiator. And again, very similarly to the chord generator, you have a preset section here that you can click on and drop down, and that will create different patterns. And then you've also got different cycles that you can flick through here, and again it gives you different patterns that you can decide that you want to play around with. If I just give you a blast of the track again, you'll be able to hear some of the different patterns that work within the track. So what you've got going on with these different sections here, if you click on the bars at the bottom, you can change the octave of the sound. So you can have it at the same octave that you've drawn the notes in. Or you can mess around with the octaves, so you can have the first note on that and just hop around, draw different octaves in, see how that sounds. Drop and draw in the velocity scale and the element of gate that you've got going on. There are other sections where you can play around with the harmonization of the sound. So yeah, you can use some of these presets at the top to change the sound around. Again, you've got a gate function, harmonizer, velocity, pitch. So just play around, have fun with it. And the other two things to mention are the buttons at the bottom here, which you can use to change the pace of the notes that you've got coming through. So at the moment we've got 16ths. change that to eighths. Also use the swing to have the notes morph into each other. And finally, you've got a gate function, which is essentially about cutting off the notes or sustaining the notes in the sequence. And that's essentially how you use Cthulhu. So thank you for listening, for watching. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing. And I will see you in the next Speakerstack video. Thank you.